So now it's like, oh great. Not only Ruin, but Security Breach, the biggest game they've ever released.
Yep.
We also have to go, what is actually here
Yeah,
for
oh, man.
everything we see. Ladies, gentlemen, and those with the good sense to do away with the whole notion, I welcome you to the premier audio medium for all your Fazbear entertainment needs, the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast. Note, FFPP is not responsible for any loss of appetite, disinterest, dismemberment, or other legally classified statuses. So strap in and enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast. I'm your host with the Toast Fry Toast here with a very special guest. Why don't you go and introduce yourself?
Hello, I am ID's Fantasy, fellow FNAF YouTuber. I upload a lot less frequently, but I still think my videos are pretty good.
It's quality over quantity.
Exactly.
That's the thing. We're here to talk about, I guess it's like I don't want to say the word debate because that feels combative.
It's a discussion.
A healthy discussion. Yes, a discussion about the state of ghosts in Security Breach. Very timely because I think we both did you recently put out a video on this topic, or did I just see you talking about it on Twitter?
I think you just saw me talking about it on Twitter, but I am planning eventually at some point this year to do videos going over theories from Security Breach again and which ones I still hold on to and which ones I don't.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat right now where like it's been 2-3 years since I've talked about Security Breach specifically.
Yeah, I miss
and, like,
it.
A lot of stuff has come out since then. Some opinions may have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
so
more
I guess
specifically I'm sorry.
No, you go.
Yes, more specifically, my plan is examining some of the old game theories on Security Breach and being like, okay, what is the actual evidence here for and against them, and then what are my thoughts, sort of situation.
That's fun. I think that'll also be useful for people who, because I feel like more and more there's a lot more FNAF theory creators trying to make it in the space.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that thought process being shown is going to be really helpful for a lot of those newer creators. So that's really awesome. Excited to see those. I will say, I guess to get us started, let's start somewhere I think we agree at. So the topic is mainly like who's possessed, right? Like that's the main thing.
Who's possessed, who's still around, sort of thing.
Who's still around, what ghosts are possessed and stuff. Let's start somewhere I think we agree. We'll go easy to hard.
Okay.
DJ Music Man. Do you think anyone's in there?
No.
Okay, cause same here. Like I think there's the duffel bag message was literally like, "Hey, don't turn on this setting," and I'm sure they just turned on that setting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like that's the bouncer mode. He's going in and he's trying to grab Gregory. Seems very bouncery.
It's not his fault Gregory's fragile.
Yeah.
There is the I've heard the theory, and I'm 50-50 on it. I've heard the theory that the Security Breach jump scares specifically, the ones that are attacking Gregory, most of them are probably just capturing him, and the game ends to not spoil what's going on after that.
Yeah, I think something pretty similar.
Yeah.
At least right now. I don't know.
Yeah, fair. I mean, to be fair, it kind of happens with Vanessa, but you know that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah.
But I like that theory. I haven't thought about it in a long time because for a while before we knew anything about Ruin, I was like, oh, Ruin is what happens if you lose in Security Breach. But you know that proved to not be true.
Gregory seems okay, even if he is getting identity thefted by the mimic.
Yeah, you know, and I may or may not be dropping elevators on his friends. Who knows? You know.
Yeah, we'll see.
So DJ Music Man probably definitely not possessed. The Mini Music Men, I think there's more leeway to say they might be, but I'm also inclined to say they aren't.
Agreed.
Because they're definitely weirder than DJ Music Man. I don't know how. I guess before we go piece by piece, what's your like your thought process on beginning to think something is possessed rather than just acting strangely?
That's oh man. I'm just trying to think of my exact criteria.
It's a loaded question.
The thing is like,
yeah,
it's just There needs to be something that sets it apart that can't just be blamed just on Glitch Trap. Or if it can be blamed on Glitch Trap, it would be easier, it would make more sense to me to not blame it on Glitch Trap. Like
I get that.
recently I've been toying with the idea that Glamrock Chica is possessed because on Glamrock Chica plushies, I don't remember if it's like multiple or just in one game or whatever. There's a skull and crossbones on the tag, which feels
Interesting.
weird.
That
Because
is
none of the
strange.
other Glamrocks have that, so maybe Chica's possessed, but I mean, I'm not attached to that theory. There just has to be
Yeah.
something connecting it to something that's not normal
Yeah,
and
because then
not
there's
Glitch Trap.
also it goes into question of like, is that possession or is that whoever was making the Chica shrines? And also,
I
are
mean,
the
it could
Chica
be the
shrines
person
linked?
who's
Yeah, exactly. It could be the person who made the Chica shrines possessing Chica for all we know.
Yeah.
No, that's totally valid. I think in the video I put out recently, my two like steps to possession is there a knowable person of interest who could be doing it? And are, like you said,
Mm,
like, are they acting weirdly in a way that is explained better by possession rather than just Glitch Trap messing them up?
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I'm pretty similar, except I don't always necessarily think there needs to be a knowable person, at least right now, because we
fair.
might find out later.
Yeah,
Like
I
we
wouldn't
found
say
out with
knowable person is
Maskbot in Cassie's dad.
right. Yeah, I wouldn't say knowable person is necessary. I think it's just really good to help
Oh yeah, it helps.
me jump over. Yeah, so yeah, and the mini Music Men, like we were saying, like they act weirder than DJ Music Man, but still in a way that I could totally see it being
Glitch Trap.
okay, you patrol these vents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just they just
And
do that.
yeah, and to a similar extent, I believe anyway, the Glamrock Endos in the warehouse.
Yeah.
To me, they don't seem possessed either. That seems to be they're not done yet.
Agreed.
Um, immediately I've run out of easy ones. Like, because everything else, I think there's a good bit of nuance to go back and forth here. But I guess to move on to the easier ones, let's just talk about Monty.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna bring up Monty, like, I'm pretty sure he's not possessed. If he is, it'll be a
Yeah,
surprise to me.
yeah, I think I agree on that. Judging by like talking about like personality, because I understand the whole thing about like the violence and what happened to Bonnie if it was Monty. But to me, that's still Glitch Trap, a la what the storyteller tells us about them.
Yeah, the storyteller's like, hey, they started acting a little weird when they got, you know, the storyteller implanted, and that explains Monty's thing, Roxy's vanity. The only thing that doesn't seem to carry over from the storyteller is Freddy's behavior. Cause
Yeah, Freddy
in the
acts completely
storyteller,
differently.
Freddy is like a spoiled crybaby or something.
Oh yeah, I love storyteller Freddy. He's so funny.
And and then we get Freddy in game and he's like serious, mostly calm and
Yeah.
collected, except for when he's like, Gregory, are you dying? Did you kill my friends on purpose or on accident? Gregory, please.
And then those very brief glimpses of like when you're in an elevator and a Freddy voice line plays over the intercom and Freddy's like,
And he gets
I want you to
self-conscious
know that
about
wasn't
it.
me.
I love Freddy.
Yeah, he's such a charming character for what he is. Yeah, I think the only thing that makes me go, huh, about Monty is the weird shrine in Ruin.
Mm.
I still don't know what my thoughts on that shrine are. Do you have any thoughts on that thing?
Oh man, it's not really. The thing
Because
is
like,
like the thing is we don't know who put it there or for what purpose.
yeah, and it's also like, is it even physical? Looking at like where it is and what it's around.
Yeah, honestly, with everything in Ruin, there's the question of, okay, is this an actual real thing? Because logically speaking, Cassie should not be able to walk through what in the real world are physical walls. Which would imply
Yeah,
that in the real world they are not actually physical walls, and she just thinks they are because of the AR chip in her head. So is the
yeah,
Monty
and
Shrine
it's like
there?
a way for Glitch Trap to be like, oh, you need to wear this mask. Like,
Well, at that point, it's not. I don't think it's glitch trap because of Help Wanted 2. But
fair. I don't know. Helpy is
I
strange
mean,
to
Help is
me.
strange. But
Yeah,
if both endings of Help Wanted 2 happen, glitch trap has been squeezed.
fair. And then I guess Helpy would just be the Mimic one program, maybe?
I don't know.
I don't know. Helpy is a strange one. I'm still really weirded out why the Mimic and Helpy argue halfway through the game. That still freaks me
is he
out.
putting on a
What are you
front?
doing?
Is this the like? It could be a case where like there's the base program of Helpy that starts doing something, and
Right?
Mimic's like, wait, no, stop, because the thing
Stop,
is
stop.
like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know it's especially if you like. I know we have differing opinions on Vanny, but the idea of like Vanny being a digital consciousness in some way,
Yeah.
is that Helpy in some? Like there's so many
Yeah.
weird oddities. And we'll get to Glitch Trap, believe you me, before the end of this episode.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Monty probably not is I think the opinion we agree on there.
Mm-hmm.
Roxy.
I could see an
I'm
argument being
inclined to
made for Roxy.
Yeah, I can see it, but I'm currently not for it.
Same.
I think the biggest argument is the ending of Ruin.
The ending of
but-
Ruin, and also I've always found it a little weird how she refers to herself in both the first and the third person, or second person.
True. Yeah, I see that. Right, because she refers to herself as Roxy a lot, and then there are those moments
She's like, oh yeah,
where-
you're beautiful. Yes, I am beautiful. And stuff like that. And it
Mhm.
reminds me a bit of Together Forever, I think is the story, where like there are the two souls possessing Rosie Porkchop, and they refer to themselves as we.
Yeah, I could see that. I think there's also the argument to be made of if, and I'll be talking about this a lot more when we get to Freddy, but if we are dealing with sort of a AI gaining consciousness within this system, I could see a matter of pre-programmed line, Roxy's sitting there and the animatronic automatically goes, "You are beautiful," and then cuts back to the AI and goes, yes, I am beautiful.
Oh yeah,
I
like,
could see
there's
that being a
ways
self-feeding
to.
loop too.
Yeah, it's possible. I just note it as weird.
Oh,
And
for sure.
if
Definitely
more
weird.
evidence pops up in the future, I might go in and be like, okay, is she possessed?
Not to mention, like, if, say, Glamrock Freddy is possessed, then Roxy and Cassie are an even better foil / parallel for Gregory and Freddy in that
Yeah.
way. No, I totally see the argument for Roxy being possessed. I just think we're lacking some evidence in there
Agreed.
that I would want.
Same.
We kind of touched on Chica, but besides the what we've already mentioned, what are your thoughts on Chica overall? Like maybe possessed, probably not.
I think it's possible, but like with Roxy, I would need more to go off of, because like with the skull and crossbones on the tag, that's a really weird detail to put there.
Yeah, especially because it's like you said, it's the only one. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like I'm gonna have to go back and be like, oh god damn it,
Yeah,
we missed something else. Damn it.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's in Security Breach, but it's in something. I've seen like posts and stuff about it, but it just like is for Chica to be associated with death in some way is
Yeah.
notable to me.
And Chica's always been one of the oddballs in a lot of the games, so I wouldn't doubt
Yeah.
that continuing in Security Breach in some way.
Yeah, Scott's playing favorites, even if the fandom doesn't like Chica as much as the others.
Right. Okay. So yeah, the 3 of the Glamrocks are also similarly kind of easier and agreeable.
Yes.
Do we want to say Freddy? Is he the most complex one? Or while
Okay.
we're here, just start on it. Because I
Freddy's
mean,
going to be a long
realistically,
discussion. Do you
there-
have any others that you want to go over?
yeah, okay. Let's go over. Here's an easy one in the opposite direction. The blob / the tangle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's got ghosts in it.
that looked a little haunted.
Maybe just agony, possibly. You could go a lot of ways with it. My thinking right now is whatever was left over from the FNAF 6 fire has been festering. And I would think
Yeah.
if anything was, it's agony. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, so my thoughts is like it could be agony if the
Mhm.
mimic epilogues from Tales are carried over to the games. It could be
Mhm.
the people that the mimic killed down at the pizzeria simulator location, because like it talks
For
about,
sure.
hey, there's gonna be a pile of animatronic parts that you're supposed to makeover here, and then the mimic starts throwing human bodies in there too. So
Oh yeah. And I think Demuted pointed out in the book they even use the word a tangle of to describe that pile. Which
it,
like,
I was that yeah. I don't remember that specifically, and also I don't call it the tangle just for faster.
Fair. And I mean, to be fair, people treated the file name being the tangle as a confirmation, but if that was guaranteed to be true, Golden Freddy's real name is Yellow Bear. So like,
Yeah, and and that's the thing. Like, in the character encyclopedia, it's like, oh yeah, Burntrap's not the canon name, but then in the Daco interview that just happened, Scott's like, yeah, it's basically that like once you put something in the file names and they find it, that's basically just the canon name, and you're stuck with it.
yeah,
And he
that is
seems to
fair.
have
Like
like
they did
resigned
talk about that a
himself to
bit.
calling it Burntrap.
Not to mention, I feel like if it's a like drastic error, they usually go back and change it, like the Casty sprite.
Yeah,
Or
but I
I
have
shouldn't
thoughts
say
on
if
that
it's
too.
a drastic. I shouldn't say if it's a drastic error they go back and change it.
If it's something they do not
meaningful
want
in
people to
either direction.
yeah.
Yeah, a drastic error or oh shit they weren't supposed to know that yet. Whichever way
Mhm.
that's going. But yeah, the blob is definitely it's got ghosts in it.
There's
for
something.
Sure. How do you feel about now? This kind of goes against Frights being in the games, and I'm currently
fine with that.
battling that internally. Um, but how do we feel about the blob being kind of the physical area where if say Afton's corpse is in, his soul is in Ultimate Custom Night?
I
Because I've
think
heard that
that
before, and I kind
Burntrap
of like it.
is. I think it's a cool idea, but I think that Burntrap is William.
Fair.
So I mean
I
maybe
mean, him
maybe the
being
blob yoinking
separated would
him.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the separation there could be what helped pull him out of it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it's a neat theory. I would need a bit more. And because the thing is, I think Ultimate Custom Night, and I think you mentioned this in your Golden Freddy video,
Mhm.
was the would have just been within his own body. Because
Yeah.
the Golden
There
Freddy
doesn't
suit
need to be a
seems to
physical
have been
space.
grafted onto the Spring Bonnie suit. Um,
Yeah,
which is why
when
Scrap Trap looks different.
I hope I didn't miss. I don't mean to say that like UCN physically was in
Oh,
the. I just meant
okay.
like that was a while Afton's corpse is in this blob. Whoever is creating Ultimate Custom Night has more agony to pull from, or
Yeah,
so
I
you
could see
know.
that.
You know what I mean? No, sorry. I've seen that meme when it's been suggested before, and somebody immediately quote tweeted me with a meme where it's just the blob and an X-ray view, and it's just Burntrap at a desk hitting buttons. I'm like, no, I don't mean that. I mean, hey, speaking of, that's one of the harder, but I think easier than Freddy ones.
Yes.
Burntrap.
I do think
What
it's
the hell,
William.
right? I think before the Scott interview, I was all in on Burntrap being William's body because it just made the most sense.
I think
Knowing
even
that. Sorry, go on.
no, I was gonna say, um, yeah, with the Scott interview, I can understand why that because he mentions how it was like, oh, it was originally just supposed to be something you see like out of the corner of your eye, propped up against a wall or something.
Yeah, it was
But
never
I
supposed to
don't.
move.
Yeah, but there's a few reasons I don't really let that change my perspective on it too much because all
Mhm.
that says is the original intention, not what we actually ended up getting.
For sure.
And like what's one thing Scott said was that he doesn't like messing with the lore, with stuff like
Yeah,
this. And so I think what he was trying to the way I interpreted that was he like him saying this he doesn't want to like because the thing is what we got in Security Breach is what actually happened. Even if Burntrap
yeah,
wasn't supposed to move, he did move. And even if he was supposed to be propped up against a wall as like, oh, there's just William's corpse over there or something, we got him moving. And so
yeah,
I think that like as much as it's interesting to know the original intention Scott had, what we actually got in the game is what actually is canon.
for sure.
And so with
Y-
that we have Williams Like, I don't know where else a burned spring Bonnie suit with human bones and corpse bits attached would have come from.
I think so. I agree with your point that like what happened in Security Breach happened. I wouldn't want to say that from the Scott interview. I am denying that. And I agree with you that if Burntrap is physical, that's gotta be William.
Yes.
Like until we get like clear evidence saying something else happened, the burned bunny suit with a body in it in the room where a man in a bunny suit was burned, that's a direct line. Like,
Oh yeah. Like you can
think
find a way to finagle someone else down there, but like burned, because there's like that whole story in Tales where this kid Luca ends up in a Springtrap
God,
costume.
why does that exist?
And the thing is,
God,
like,
that story gives me a
I
migraine.
get why people try to draw the connection, but like somehow that would have had to get down to the basement and get burned.
Yeah, and also, why does Earl have a Springtrap suit? That's a whole other thing.
I think Earl just had a mask.
Well, I thought the idea was he replaced it with the fake one so he could be all creepy. I don't know. It's been I forget some of the details. I just remember reading that story and going like, man, why did they make another Springlock suit?
Yeah, I was like, oh, there's another one. Okie dokie. But I loved the story. It was a cool one.
A good story. It was just like the implications are crazy.
Yeah.
But talking about Burntrap, I think so. The way that the Scott interview kind of formed and slightly changed how I'm looking at Security Breach, I don't see the Scott interview and go, oh, that didn't happen, this did. To me, it's okay, well, if Burntrap was originally intended not to move, what story was he trying to tell, and can we still tell it with what we have? And in my brain, that tells me like, okay, was Burntrap a hallucination by something? And this would only work if Gregory was GGY in some way before the game starts. Because my thinking goes, if Gregory was working under Glitchtrap like Vanessa and possibly Cassie was about to be in ruin, and he's using this Vanny mask, did he also receive an AR chip? God forbid.
I mean, I bet he did, honestly.
So now it's like, oh great. Not only ruin, but Security Breach, the biggest game they've ever released.
Yep.
We also have to go, what is actually here for everything we see?
One theory I made about a year ago was actually like, hey, so I think Security Breach may have happened technically multiple times with a bunch of mental screwery in between, and that's why Gregory draws the ending he does, is because he actually got those endings, and he didn't beat Princess Quest. Some other guy did, and then Help Wanted 2 came out, and like in order to play the next Princess Quest game, you typically have to have played all the previous ones, and we can play Princess Quest 4 in that, so I'm like, well...
Yeah, I mean, I do think from Ruin and Help Wanted 2, it's like, okay, Princess Quest 3 does feel like it was beat.
It was beaten by someone.
By someone, yeah. But so to that point of Gregory having possibly we not being able to trust everything we see with him, I do see the idea of Gregory sees Burntrap around and draws the comic, so Gregory saw Burntrap, but does that mean Burntrap is physically there in front of him? Mainly because throughout Security Breach, we never are in the same room with Burntrap. The most we see of him is through the screen on the other side. And I guess you could argue maybe the ending, but we don't actually see Gregory and Freddy and Burntrap in the same room in that animation. We see Burntrap continuing to walk and then get by the blob or whatever. Which again, like, okay, the blob is physical. We see the blob in ruin before Cassie gets the chip.
Yeah, that's the point I was gonna make, is like, if Gregory was drawing... Gregory drew the blob, which we know does exist. So to me, that implies that Burntrap does exist as well. But even if he doesn't, I still think that, like, the fact that he appears and he does things would imply that, like, even if he's not physical, he is an actual force, and I think that force would be William.
That's fair. I mean, we'll get there because I think that force would be Glitchtrap.
I mean, I also think Glitchtrap's William, so that's a...
That's what I mean. Like, we'll get there. So I think I think the idea that the end of that idea is that if Burntrap is a hallucination Gregory is seeing, is that how Gregory sees Glitchtrap now that he is free of his control?
Interesting. My
That's
thought
kind of that
there
idea.
My thought there would be it wouldn't necessarily matter how Gregory sees him. It would matter how Glitchtrap chooses to manifest.
Fair. And I mean, if he's been spurned by Gregory, maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, in
That's the
Help
big
Wanted
question mark
2, we
for it.
see
Why
Glitchtrap
he looked
as
like that.
Glitchtrap. So I
Yeah.
would feel inclined to believe that this is not meant to be the exact same thing as Glitchtrap, even with keeping in mind Scott's idea of, hey, this is just going to be like something you see out of the corner of your eye not moving. If that was meant to be just Glitchtrap, I don't think that would have been the case.
That's fair. I think because you could argue it's like, okay, maybe he's keeping an eye on him, but like, does he have to appear physically to do that? Probably not.
Yeah, and does he have to not move, and does he have to look like a burned corpse?
I am curious on your opinion then. If you still think Burntrap is physical, which I've been mentally debating for like 3 months now. What are your thoughts on his like lair in Ruin? How that pod is empty and still intact?
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Because I think that is easier explained by mine, but then there's other things that are harder explained by mine. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the give and take of these.
Oh yeah, for sure. That could have something to do with. I'm trying to figure out how to word things. It's hard.
You're good. I mean, this is the reason these aren't live is like, because if there's ever a question, like I sometimes I'll pull up questions and be like, wait, I didn't think about this one yet, and take like 5 minutes to think about it. Like, you're fine.
Yeah, it's just it's the fact that the pod is there to me implies that Burntrap was there, plus all the monitors and stuff.
Fair.
It not being destroyed could be like it could be something to do with Gregory's AR chip. It could be spooky stuff because Into the Pit, the door gets deleted when Remy stuff is happening. So like apparently the structural integrity of a building can be influenced by ghosts. Not ghosts, but like
or is it
supernatural
an agony hallucination?
Exactly. And like it could also be on Cassie's end. Maybe it is in Ruins, but she just can't tell.
Fair. She has an AR chip. Like, did she see it accurately?
Yeah.
No, there's so much visual fuckery in these two games.
For sure.
So Burntrap is done. Blah blah blah. I mean, I think we've said all we can about these. The daycare attendant. What's your thoughts there? Kind of weird, huh?
I think he's weird, but I don't think he's possessed.
Right? Like, I don't think he's any weirder than the Glamrocks.
Yeah, he's just got like multiple AIs running at the same time.
Yeah, I think the only thing that gives me pause is how I think it is likely that the daycare attendant is older than much of the other animatronics at the Pizzaplex. All the way to Fall Fest, who knows? But there does seem to be an emphasis on the daycare attendant.
Yeah. And I think with I'm not totally sure, but I feel like there was something in regards to the Secret of the Mimic demo, because I got to play that may have pointed to Sun and Moon being around.
People mentioned a medieval set, like a castle looking thing or something like that. I didn't get to play it, but I remember in someone's description in like the corner by like that extra room, there was like a medieval set. So people were thinking maybe there's and Sun and Moon comes out of that castle.
I was thinking I saw something about a sun and a moon, but I also could be misremembering. It has been a couple months.
Fair. If only we had footage to look at, Steel Wool.
One day.
One day, maybe. But also, to be fair, even if Sun and Moon come out of a castle in the daycare, they weren't the original daycare attendant. So is that castle them, or is that castle whoever was?
Yeah. And then there's Eclipse. And
yeah, it's like Eclipse kind of goes against the books in a way.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like that's one. People say there isn't much to point to Tales being separate, but I get that. But the fact that the daycare attendant seems to have different pasts, because like in the game, okay, it seems like Eclipse is the original version, but in the book, it was always Sun and Moon.
Yeah, that's strange. Because I like the show was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde-esque show,
Like
which
that's how they were
implies
intended
that
to be.
that's how they were made. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, they're weird, and I think there is a strange emphasis put on them, but I agree that like not enough to say, yeah, they're probably possessed.
Yeah. They might have some, if they were around for Fall Fest, they might have some like lingering haunting of emotion or something. But
So I think we're starting to run long. So before we get
okay.
too long, we should reserve as much time as possible. Let's just get right to him. Freddy,
Freddy!
the man of the hour,
My boy.
everyone's favorite. I'll give you the floor because I feel like I've been yapping.
Okay. So I am the security breach theory I am presently the most confident in is that Freddy is possessed. Currently I
Mhm.
lean Michael Afton, but just in general possessed is what I'm the most confident in.
Right.
And there's a few reasons I think that. One of which is the obvious, hey, like the thing that got everyone to consider him being possessed was his whole speech going into the Burntrap fight
Yeah,
of
the I
like,
am not me
yeah,
monologue.
and the thing is, it's not just the I am not me in there that raises an eyebrow for me, and it's
Mhm.
also like the context in which it's said and like the phrasing of pretty much the entire thing. Because like
Mhm.
I am not me. People can like explain that to some degree as like, oh, maybe it's just saying he's been glitch trapped or something. But to
Mhm.
me, it would be weird if, because he spends part of like the immediate part of the speech preceding that. You know, I'll just start at the beginning like of the speech because it's just all of
Yeah.
it just
No,
piles
the
on
the
each
whole speech is
other.
weird.
Yeah, because he's like, I recognize this place and stuff. I've been here before. um she brought me here or whatever, and then he's like, I found myself when I cleared the path, and it's like, okay, that's a little weird. Could just be like a moment of self-actualization. He's coming into awareness, his AI is like updating or whatever.
Mhm.
But then he talks about like, oh, I didn't have a choice, but now I have a choice, and I'm like, and you got agency from that, okay. And in the pizzeria simulator location of all places. And then he like just keeps going down. It's like, oh yeah, my friends are here and they're angry and confused, and he would be able to know that because of Roxy's eyes. And he's like,
Mhm.
um, but then he's like, oh, but Gregory, I'll protect you. I am not me. And
Yeah.
the I am not me combined with the I found myself when I cleared the path, and the I'm not me coming immediately after saying he'll protect Gregory implies to me that he's not talking as like, "Oh, I'm not me because Glitch Trap's controlling me." It's I'm not me, so I am now able to protect you.
Yeah. I Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off if you had more there.
No, that was basically it, other than me saying, and also Glitch Trap doesn't like hijack him until he falls all the way down, and Burntrap exits the pod, puts his hand on the monitor.
Yeah. I think that's the big crux of this like whole the kind of like theory clash is how do you interpret these lines? Because there's
Mhm.
other parts that happen throughout the game, obviously, that point to either direction. But
Yes.
this monologue is really the crux of both theories, and it's how they're interpreted.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess so to counterpoint your points, and then I guess we can go bit for bit on it. Um, to devil's advocate you,
Okay.
um, the most of that I think goes most of the argument would go with what you mentioned where like is this possession or is this gaining consciousness. um but the specific point about um I didn't have control then but I do now, that could be when clearing the path because he found himself there, or is it from the safe mode boot from the beginning of the game that possibly cleared Glitchtrap out of his system, which is why he did not have control over himself before now, and he does now. Meanwhile, the other Glamrocks still do not have control because they have not been safe mode booted. Um, I think would be the only I think that'd be the main non possession angle for that line.
Okay.
Um, which again, like I wouldn't say there's evidence to go against what you said. It's really, here's
It's
what's
a matter of
in front of us.
interpretation.
How do you interpret it? I think no matter what my theories have always been, Glamrock Freddy, outside like of the actual animatronics, we're not talking about like Burntrap, Blob, like the
Yeah.
et ceteras, but of the security breach Pizzaplex animatronics, I think Glamrock Freddy has always been the one that's of most possibility of
Like,
being
if someone's possessed, it's that guy.
yeah, if anyone's possessed, it's Freddy. It's gotta be. Like, but I think recently, after reading like all the tales in the Pizzaplex, whether or not they are within the game's timeline, I think someone brought it up in one of the questions recently on the podcast that I think has a really good note for it. And it was, throughout all of the books, there's always been this concept of people becoming animatronics and animatronics becoming people. And I think it's better summarized as FNAF likes to play around with the concept of life and what counts as life.
Yeah.
Um,
I think pretty similarly. I've seen that theme a lot as well. The way
Mhm.
I've sort of taken it though is with the current arc, because I do think that William is still around as like Glitch Trap, or was still around as Glitch Trap. I think
fair.
William's still around.
Squeesh.
I think and then yeah. And then we have Cassie's dad in Maskbot, presumably. Um I mean, he's there, but like, is he still there, sort of thing. But
Yeah, I mean, it shuts down pretty quick. So, like, was that his last thing? Who knows?
yeah. To me, I've sort of seen it as a sort of overlapping of the previous arc with AI.
Yeah,
So like with a lot of the stuff in Tales, a lot of it seems to be like struggling to distinguish between what's real and what's false.
yeah,
Um
I fully agree with that.
And so I thought, so the way I took it is one way that's sort of interesting to explore that is to have like we have AI in the Mimic, um, and
Mhm.
in some of in like in a lot of the Glamrock animatronics, I think they're probably just like AI. But I think
Yeah,
Freddy would be it would be interesting, and there's a lot of narrative stuff that we don't really have time to get into, where I think it
yeah,
would be an interesting story exploration to be like, okay, we've got like these really powerful AIs, but also a spirit, and how do those things overlap? Because Freddy acts like Freddy, but also not like Freddy sometimes, sort of.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's the big question is like, what are they going for? Because I think I agree with you that Freddy and, in a way, Glitch Trap / Mimic or whatever is going to be the continuing antagonist post Help Wanted 2,
Hmm.
um, is a foil to Glamrock Freddy in that way. So if it's William being mixed with this program, then Freddy being, say, Michael or someone else mixed with Freddy's AI, that's a
Exactly.
good foil.
Yeah, that's my thought
Um,
process there.
yeah, I have a similar but opposite thought process of, if William isn't in the Mimic One AI anymore, is Freddy similarly just an AI gaining consciousness
Yeah.
in an opposite way?
Yeah, my thought
Um,
there would be that like whatever we have now will be the foil to the Williamless whatever
mhm,
situation, because in
that's
Security
fair.
Breach, I think, okay, we've got William, therefore we would need the counter to that, and I think Michael makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Part of me is like, part of me really just wanted FNAF 6 to be the button about like,
Fair.
oh, well, I guess not FNAF 6 realistically, like Ultimate Custom Night
Yeah.
and FNAF World, you know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
but I think, because the question that becomes like, right, if William is back and if Michael is in Freddy, what about everyone else who's at FNAF 6? Right?
Well, since you mention
Right?
it,
Like,
I do think
is Henry
most
and
of them are
Mexis, you know?
still around.
I mean, I think I think
Charlie
the
Door,
fun
my
question,
beloved.
Charlie Door. I think the fun question, right, is I think it's the most pressing question would be, because there's, I think, one spirit that, if like, say all the spirits of FNAF 6 are still around, if there's one spirit that there isn't a clear vessel for yet, I think that'd be Elizabeth. Because you could argue Vanny / Vanessa.
Yeah.
That laugh is concerning.
Yeah. See, that is
But
sort of what I argue, but, like, I
Mhm.
have a whole explanation for it that doesn't make sense without context.
And we don't have time for that
Nope.
context. Hey, that's FNAF theories anymore. I played a Black Ops Zombies recently on stream, and a bunch of people kept asking what timeline is more confusing, Black Ops or FNAF. And the question came down to, you could make like a tight 30-minute video and explain everything in the Black Ops timeline, and it's convoluted, but you can explain it. And I was like, if I made like a full Freddy's timeline, the first 30 minutes would be definitions. Like, we don't have time for this.
I mean, I made a FNAF timeline that was like 30 minutes, and I just sort of explained as I went what things meant, but it was also mostly just
Mhm.
like the major events I was hitting, not, okay, what exactly
Yeah.
was happening with this side character over here during this time. I'm just like,
It-
Henry
it's what
disappeared for 30 years, and
the FNAF timeline is a recursive pattern. The deeper you delve into it, the wider it gets. Like
Yeah.
you can make a FNAF timeline anywhere from 10 minutes to 5 hours and longer, depending on
Yeah.
how much you're including.
Oh, for sure.
That's part of the reason why my timeline I've been working on still isn't even in finished being writing, you know?
Woo!
Yippee! But yeah, so I think Freddy is, if any of the main Pizzaplex animatronics are possessed, it's got to be Freddy.
Yeah.
And then the question is really, with the evidence we have, what do you personally see as more likely? Because I don't think there's direct evidence either way. I don't think there's a piece of evidence that like can fully convince me either way right now.
That's fair. For me, like, with the number of pieces in the speech that point to him being possessed, plus there's this whole
Mhm.
thing during the game of like, yes, I know it's been like 2 hours since I've charged, but I have a second wind so I can still help you, even though in the one ending where I run out of battery, I just instantly like shut down.
His power shenanigans are weird. That is fair.
Yeah, and like one thing we see in like the Stitch Wraith epilogues and Frights is, yeah, Jake's battery in the Stitch Wraith gets shot, but he can still like shamble around, just not as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like that combined, plus a lot of the like narrative parallels and symbolism, and there's that one like in the Princess Quest ending, there's that whole thing where like Vanessa's got her ice cream cone, Gregory's got a golden Freddy popsicle, and then we have Glamrock Freddy in the middle. That gives me Afton sibling vibes, even if symbolically.
Fair.
Which if
Interesting you point this out.
yeah.
Sorry, continue. Finish your
Yeah,
thought.
you know, so it's like, even if Gregory and Vanessa aren't the crying child and Elizabeth, because Freddy could be possessed, I think that
Mhm.
points to Michael.
Yeah, no. If Freddy is possessed, that ending is great evidence for that. Like 100%. I was gonna say, interesting you point that out. We don't have time for it, so we won't really delve into it. One of the questions I pulled up in case we ran short, and I'll probably go more to this next week. Someone was pointing out, what if the couch person in Midnight Motorist was Elizabeth, which is weird, super weird. I don't like that, but what I do like is, in explaining it, they bring up the FNAF World TV quote-unquote angel ending. And their interpretation of that was Michael with Elizabeth and the crying child.
I mean, that's sort of how I took that ending as well. But I think that the couch
That part
person
I
is
like.
Michael.
Yeah, I don't think the couch person is Elizabeth, just with how their speech patterns. That doesn't feel
And they look
Elizabeth
too
to me.
tall. Elizabeth is small child.
Yeah, she dies at like 5, 6, like around there. Like, anyway, so to talk about the lineup of the kids, I was like, wait a minute, this reminds me.
Yeah.
We're kind of running short on time here. So is there anything coming up soon that you would like to shout out?
Planning on posting some shorts.
Huge.
Currently working on not a technical, here are all the events timeline, but when exactly, date-wise, to the best of our knowledge, does everything happen?
Fair.
So I'm working on that.
Hey, quick quiz, gun to your head. When does FNAF 1 take place? Year.
92 question mark?
Fair. I like 98. I think 92/93 makes more sense.
Yeah.
So I was
that's where I'm sort of
while I
hovering.
had you.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, I'm sort of hovering between 92 and 93. I think it
Mhm.
has to be like, I'm going off of the minimum wage, and I think that HRY 223 means that at least Pizzeria Simulator is in 2023.
I think that's fair.
So I'm putting it before 94.
I know someone, I keep getting suggested, somebody made a video on the week before talking about FNAF once a year that give a different year. So I'll have to watch their video to see what that's about.
Yes,
So it keeps getting recommended to me. Because I took the week before saying 98, and then immediately, like, a weekend later, I was like, oh, no, that doesn't work. So
Yeah, there's the week before is given a lot of that. And the thing is, like, Phone
Yeah.
Guy's an unreliable narrator. He doesn't remember things
True.
well canonically. So
we love my forgetful guy, Ralph.
best boy. Love him.
One of the few good fathers in this franchise. Let's go.
Honestly, yeah.
But all right, so we'll look forward to that, folks. Again, link in the, I think you can click on usernames in the title now, so you can do that, but the link will also be in the description. Make sure to go follow and support. And thanks again for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I know we gotta, of course, anytime. I'm just really bad at scheduling things, but I know you gotta run and I gotta run too. So until next time, thank you all for hanging out. This has been the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast, where the pizza abilities are endless. We hope to enjoy your future patronage. Bye-bye for now.